movements, for example, political movements. And I think even in this situation, what we're seeing around the world, despite the fact that the UN has failed to come up with this resolution for a ceasefire, we have seen a number of ceasefires undertaken by actors in local areas. Sometimes unilateral ceasefires, but in other cases, bilateral ceasefires. We've also seen a whole number of humanitarian organizations, civil society groups, and social movements jump into action to try and create more peaceful societies so that aid can get through, so that medical care can get through, and so on. So I think, at one level, we're seeing the failure of international governance actors, but at the same time, we have to put a lot of hope, I think, into the actions of civil society and ordinary people and people at the kind of NGO level who are springing into action in many cases to fill the gaps left by governance actors.
That's a good point, isn't it? So we are seeing, on an individual level within different war zones, attempts at least for ceasefires. And this may not have to do just with COVID-19, of course. We've seen attempted ceasefires in many of these areas. We can talk about Syria, for example, as one of them when it comes to Idlib specifically. But there are, of course, other examples. Certainly Yemen comes to mind also. Do you think that there's more hope in that, like on an individual case-by-case basis for ceasefires? And then what do you make of then the influence of NGOs and institutes and otherwise who work for peace?
Well, Idlib was actually the example I was going to take, where nowadays people can or have to choose between two opponents. It's either the regime or at least any forces that could harm them, or the virus. And I think this is a situation that nobody should face in the first place. It is really true to say that NGOs, civil societies became stronger over the past 30 years. And what also evolved over the past 30 years is the type of conflicts we are facing. And in there, we see that more and more non-state actors are really key actors in those conflicts. And